Note to Self is a lot about privacy, but a lot of different tech topics. Life's digital quandaries is what you call them. And so I highly recommend if anyone is interested. And I'm just interested, what inspired you to start this podcast?
You know, it started in the weirdest way. It was 3 years ago, and I was sort of saying to the people at the station, like, you need to be covering more of the tech economy in New York. And so really I started more as like a tech business sort of local show. But, as you know, there's a lot of people covering the tech industry. And really what I found was that people related more to me when I talked about the more sociological elements of technology, how tech was changing the way we parent, where we work, how we get to work, if we even go to work anymore. And that when I told the more personal stories about it, the more sort of individual choices we were making, that was what, and podcasting is a very intimate medium. So I think it was a good fit to talk about those things. And I mean, I'm on this journey too, I was not a big tech head or anything like I like my technology a lot, but I don't code. And so I felt like this was something that I could talk to my listeners about and we could try and figure it out together. And so with these projects, it's been great because tens of thousands of people have done them and they've given their feedback. So we really are creating our own sort of research lab in a way. And we have had a lot of researchers come to us to ask us what we've learned from these projects because the tech is racing ahead far faster than they can put out papers talking about how much screen time is right for, 2-year-olds. So we're sort of, I feel like there's this grand experiment happening. We're at this incredible moment in history where things could go so many different ways. And so let's take this opportunity to talk about what we want going forward as human beings, not just be like, so cool, let's upgrade, we're past that. It is cool, it's wonderful, but now we have to figure out how we use it the right way.
Yeah, and we can't just live in a state of anxiety about it too. I mean, I'm thinking in particular about parents, but I mean, I think it's general, especially when you're talking about privacy or how much time you spend as an adult on your phone or on Facebook, just to think, oh, I know this is horrible and I'm going to do it anyway. But you really look into why are you doing it and how can you back up and what that can do for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, it doesn't have to be a bummer to get off your phone. So for example, with Bored and Brilliant, what I sort of was noticing that I was never bored anymore. Like every time I was waiting for coffee or waiting for the subway, I had my phone, of course. And so I sort of, because this is what I can do for my listeners, is I can go find out, well, actually what happens when we get bored? And it turns out when we're bored, we activate this network in our brain called the default mode. And it's a really important network. It's where we do our most original thinking and problem solving and something called autobiographical planning, which is where you set the goals for your life and you figure out how to get to them. Like that's pretty important stuff. So instead of like, oh, I'm so bored. No, I'm so bored. Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable at first, but actually you can get to some amazing places in your mind. And to have teenagers say to me, like, I had never had this sensation before. Like they'd never been bored. Like, well, okay, so that just means that we have to teach different stuff. We don't have to teach them necessarily how to use a computer, but we do have to teach them that this feeling of being bored is actually what it feels like when your brain is doing very hard work and it takes time. So it's almost like we're learning now how our curriculums almost have to change. And I've heard that from a lot of educators, school librarians and computer science teachers looking for different resources that they're like, I can't just teach them how, what Java is. Like I have to teach them also life skills around this stuff.